Hey, it's been a minute, but we are back in the Montana garage. I want to take a second to say thank you for everybody that keeps coming back and watching. Even though I'm like Captain Inconsistency, life just is not allowing me to have much time for hot rods and YouTube right now. But I'm still here. I'm still trying to make videos. So if you're one of my regular viewers that watch all the time, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to anybody that watches, but all you regular guys that are always there, I appreciate it. Because I know I'm super inconsistent, and then the videos get shown to less and less people because I guess just because I'm inconsistent. So I'm not getting many views anymore. So you guys that are watching, I appreciate it. And if you take a second to hit the like button, leave a comment, and maybe share this, I'm going to try to get this, hopefully, growing again instead of dying. But I'm still here. I'm trying to work on hot rods just a little bit. Got the bare metal 55 here, 57 delivery over here. And I've got a little bit of time out here. I just have been struggling to make time to do the editing and to show you guys what we're up to. So it's been a couple months, I think, since the last video, but we're going to pick up where we left off. We're working on the 57 delivery here. I'm adding the surge tank to the front. Go back to the last video. Maybe the link will be down here somewhere if I can figure that out. And get caught up to speed if you need to. Otherwise, we're going to pick up where we left off. I'm waiting for some parts, and we're going to try to get this thing running again. Thanks again for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and tell a friend. Let's try to get this Montana garage growing again instead of dying. Well, one box showed up. It's the wrong box, but I got some headlight pieces and parts here because I'm missing some headlight pieces and parts here. So I've always been told, or I'm pretty sure, that this part right here, the bucket on the 57, is different, and I think it is because it's got more of these little doodads right here, and that's where the bezel or whatever the trim mounts on. But I had headlights in this car when I was working on that car, and all I had was the headlight rings that are in that car mounted to this doohickey here, and then the light plugged in, and I had lights. Well, I bought some lights right here, and I bought some trim rings, which are, well, they're in that box, but they're like this guy right here, because this outfit came with trim rings. But this trim ring will not mount to this bucket, but I had those trim rings mounted to this bucket, so they're a little different style. They have like 2 tabs with slots in them, and if I Google that, I can find a couple like that, but they're only like on eBay and that sort of thing. So I don't know if they're from something completely different. But also what I don't have in this car, and I can't aim the headlights high enough, is I'm missing this silver piece. I have the bucket. So this is what I bought, a headlight assembly. I'm missing the silver piece in the 55. I just have the black bucket, and then I have the different style trim ring. And one of the headlights is aimed pretty good, but the other one, I wish it was higher, and I can't aim it up. And this, I think, is going to correct that. So what I did, long story, well, still long because I'm still talking about it, is I bought new stuff. This stuff is going to go on the 55, and then I'm just going to steal this trim ring because I know it works on the 57 because I had it on there before. So I still will be missing the metal bucket part. I don't have that part, and I could probably get it, I'm sure, separately. But again, this is just an old race car. I'm not going to be driving it on long drives at night and stuff. So I just want to get some headlights in it so I can drive it at night if I need to. And I did it before, and they were, aimed good enough. So anywho, these are, and there I have Holley Retro Bright, I think, and they're freaking nice. I like them. They're pretty expensive though. This is like Summit's version of that same thing, like an upgraded bright light, but it was like $100 instead of $300 or $400 or whatever a piece those were. So anyways, I don't really want to start messing with the tires just yet because then I got to jack up different, and I just got a little bit more work to do under the car. So I'm going to do this headlight swap, and hopefully the rest of the fuel line stuff will show up while I'm doing that. All right, can you guys see this? Try to show you. I guess I should have, instead of all that blabbing I just did, I should have just showed you it. We'll do both. Blab and show. Try to. I need a longer screwdriver. Just kidding. It's the only decent sized one, Phillips one I can find. All right, so now we have, that's the trim ring. I guess now I need a standard or a flat screwdriver, whatever you call it. So this thing I'm turning now is actually what adjusts the headlight image, but it's also, in this setup, what's holding the headlight in. All right, so now we got the ring loose on that one, should come loose on that one. Oh, and then there's a spring that holds it down here on the bottom, right yonder. So I got it out of the spring. All right, so then unplug this so I don't drop it. Try to entertain yourself while I struggle. Still struggling. Oh, well, that's not going to come unplugged. by itself, apparently. So it separates us from the monkeys, right? We can use tools, or can monkeys use tools too? I don't know. Here's what I have. Here's what I'm supposed to have. So I don't have, obviously, this piece. See, look at the spring hooks onto that, but I had the spring just hooked to this guy, and it has a hole for it. So here's how the trim ring's different. See, I got 2 tabs that are slotted, so you could slide them in and out of those guys. And this has 3 tabs that are just holes. And now what's gonna happen is that trim ring is just gonna mount. I'm gonna put the headlight in there. Trim ring is just gonna mount to that silver portion of the bucket. And then you still have the 2 spots to adjust the light, and the spring hooks to that thing instead of this thing. So anyways, I'm sure this is probably correct, but this, I guess, is what was on this car. I'm sure I stole it from this car to put it on that car. And then when I started putting this car back together, I had to steal it back. So anyways, this setup, whatever this is from, and I did see these just like on eBay listed as 55 Chevy, and they showed this picture, but this setup will work over there. So I'm gonna take, like I said, all this stuff apart, swap it over, and then we'll put the lights in over there. So we'll be back when that's done. Why does everything have to be hard? The plug doesn't come out of the hole, which means I gotta cut wires, reconnect wires. I mean, I guess technically, I guess I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna stick with my original buckets, take this part out of this part, put it in this part. That way I don't have to mess with any wires or cut. I gotta cut wires or make this hole bigger, and then I'm gonna have to make the hole bigger in the new one too, so it fits in there. And the little grommet fits in there, you know what I mean? So, well, I'm not gonna be able to put, I was gonna be fancy because it comes with a gasket, but I can't put my gasket on either because you can't get it. Does it unplug? I don't know, let me look. Maybe it unplugs up here and I just gotta re-zip tie some stuff. Oh, I was right, it just unplugs. So I'm gonna have to redo some zip tie action. So we got a unpluggy there and a ground screw right here. Then we can put the gasket on, use all the new stuff. Why is everything gotta be harder? Hey, where you at? Why is everything gotta be harder than it's supposed to be? I guess it's not harder than it's supposed to be. Harder than I thought it was gonna be. All right, so that's loose. I just gotta cut that stuff apart, which means I gotta find my little tiny side cutters, which I actually put back where they belong. That never happens. All right, I'll never recreate this, but I guess however it is, so long as it's good. We got a bunch of, not a bunch, but we got a couple zip ties up here. All right, so took that world apart. Those other wires are for the marker light. I just had them all intertwined together. Now, well, what's the theory now? Now it's got to go out the other way, which means I got to push that all the way through that way. Beauty, Clark. All right, now we'll meet you when we're done. We're back yet again without being done with this because I want to let you know if you are doing this little rubber gasket deal, it does have a right way and a wrong way. So I'm gonna flip it around and hopefully now I can make it fit because I couldn't make it work before. Just my luck, 50-50 chance, and I put it on wrong, right? So it looks like it's shaped, so it should go right there. Boom, 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 and now she lines up. All the holes didn't line up before, so there is a, you know, specific way to do it. Don't screw it up like I did. Once I'm done-ish, I'm not gonna put the trim ring on there because I gotta re-aim my headlights now, obviously. And then I came over here with my just different trim ring situation and stuck this headlight on. Now the situation is I can't find the trim rings for the 57. And the funny thing is, I don't know if it's funny, but I have 2 goodish ones that I had on the car, and I actually have a couple extra ones, and I can't find any of them. I know usually I just kind of, you know, I got a system, not system, but they should be over here somewhere. And I just dug through all the stuff I can see without destroying the whole world, and they don't seem to be over here. So, got to explore the depths of my brain and see if I can remember what I would have done with them if I didn't put them right there. And then also I heard the dogs barking, so we might have another package out there. So we're gonna look for packages and look for trim rings, and then, I don't know, maybe eat some lunch. All right, back from lunch. Man, it's warming up in here. Let's see, my box showed up. So I got some more fuel line and a few fittings. I just realized that I should have ordered even one more 8 and 90 degree for the overflow or the rollover vent. So another trip to Summit, or, you know, order from Summit coming up to finish that. But I think I got everything else I need. I messed with these stupid headlights. I got those, the 55 back together minus the rings, so I got to aim them. And then started putting these in here, and I don't know what is different. I had headlights in this before. They were just like stock, you know, headlights instead of these aftermarket things, but I had the same setup, just this one ring, but it doesn't hold the light tight. I even stuck a couple little chunks of that behind it to try to take up the space for now. So I'm going to keep playing with that for a temporary fix, just so I can put them in there without them rattling around. And then I'll have to find that little inner bucket piece I'm missing, I guess. I don't know why it doesn't work like it did before. Yeah, I guess I had some lunch, went and did all that stuff, and now we're ready to finish up this fuel system. So I will, I already showed you what we're doing, so I'll just get her done, and then we'll get all the lines blown out and see if this thing's gonna work. Well, this thing isn't gonna be super easy to get fuel, and I guess if I was at the gas station, it wouldn't be that bad, but I think I'm gonna go inside to make it happen, maybe. So, see, we're getting ready to put fuel in, so I guess that tells you I got everything done, I think. Got all the lines tightened, I think. I mean, I double checked everything. I blew all the lines out. When I put this little spout or whatever on this fuel cell, I tried to vacuum this out the best I could. I'm still going to, I have the main line where it goes into the surge tank and disconnected. So once we put some gas in here and I start pumping, I'm just gonna pump it into a different jug for, for a few seconds, or just go through the line and see if there's any junk coming out of it. And then I guess obviously we'll hook that up and let the pump run for a second and check everything for fuel leaks. Hope there's none of that stuff, and get ready to fire it up. So I don't know how the heck I'm gonna do this. Let's see. It's not gonna work. Well, I got a race car, but I can't put gas in it. I'm gonna have to try to find a funnel or something. Hold on. So it appears this is kind of a two-person job, and I'm, one. Nobody's here. So I got the two, instead of two persons, I got two funnels. I got one funnel jamming this funnel to try to hold it, and I still don't know. I'm pretty sure this is gonna be a disaster is what it's gonna be, but we'll see if we can at least get something started. Take a week, but two funnel trick working like a charm. It's getting kind of heavy though. Oh, I gotta take a break. Oh man. Oh. All right, well, I think it's kind of time for the moment of truth here. I got the fuel in there like you saw. Let's see, this I think is already on. So I have the main supply line disconnected and pointing into a jug. So I'm going to flip the switch and then sneak up here real fast and try to watch the fuel coming into that jug there. So I should just have to turn this ignition button on. So we got fuel pumpage. All right, I don't see no big chunks of anything or anything. All right, so for now I have this fitting off here. This is just the overflow that goes back to the fuel cell. The only purpose of this is if the float hangs up or some reason the switch doesn't shut itself off, it has a way to you have to vent this. So you could put an overflow vent here, but then if the pump doesn't shut off, it could, overflow and leak and, cause a fuel spill or fire or crash, whatever. So they recommend the line back to the back, so that's what I did. So, but I'm just going to leave this off here for now, so we know that when the fuel pump shuts off, or that the fuel pump should shut off, obviously before that, floats out of there, or before the fuel comes out of there. So we got to turn our switch back on. Here we go. All right, so fuel should be. I can feel air coming out of there, so fuel's replacing the air and shooting the air out. Waiting. Still feel that air moving. Smells like gas. See no leaks anywhere. I kind of thought I'd fill it up faster than that. There we go. Well, apparently it didn't shut off. Holy shit. What the? Well, that was a frickin' disaster. What the hell? Well, I guess we clean up spilled fuel and then we check our wiring. I thought I was good because it didn't come on until I had ground. Maybe, I mean, I just assumed it should shut off before it shot out of there, but maybe not. I don't know. Let me look at the website about this switch thing and we'll get back to you. All right, trying to diagnose this whole fuel geyser situation. I had to go have dinner and my wife was home. Blah. Anyways, it's been a minute. It's dark. I came back out and I remembered I do have it wired differently than their instructions said, but their instructions just can't be right because I don't know if you know anything about relays, and I don't know if you can hear me because my microphone died, but hopefully this one's working. I think so long as I talk to the camera, it works all right. If I talk away from the camera, not so much. But they say to connect your other wire to 87A, and that's normally closed. So if you do that, as soon as you connect it, the fuel pump turns on, even if the key's not on or nothing. So I connected it to 87 because I thought, well, it must just be a typo because if you know how relays work, that 87A is normally closed, and you got to have 12 volts positive on 30. So as soon as you connect it to 87A, the fuel pump comes on, even when I'm not in the car, the ignition's not on, nothing. So at 87, it's normally open. So when you turn the key on, it closes that switch and turns the fuel pump on. So that's how I have it. And I thought, well, that must be right. Because I saw that, I went and messed with it again. Yeah, as soon as you plug it on at 87A, the fuel pump just comes on. So I decided to take the float out and see if I could figure out if this thing, I don't really understand how it creates the ground, not ground situation. But here's what I did do, is I took it out of here to look at it, and I tried to do like some continuity testing between ground and this, and I couldn't really make anything work. But if I leave it laying here like this, upside down, which means that's on there, so the float thinks the tank is full, and I turn the key on. Well, I don't have a key, but you know what I mean. Turn the power on, no fuel pump. Now if I come back out here, and I turn this over real quick so it doesn't come squirting out of there again. So now the float is down, so it thinks it needs fuel in there, and I turn the key on. Fuel pump. So I think we're right. I think it works. I think I just maybe when I had that fitting off of there, it was blowing the pressure out of here and it never actually closed the pump. I turned it on a little bit again after that and it just didn't seem like it was going to shut off, but it's only like half full. So I think I got to put it back together, let it run for a minute or a second or 30 seconds or 2 minutes. I don't know how long it takes. Let it run for a while and see if it shuts off. So that's what we're going to do next. Floats back in the surge tank. Let's turn her back on and wait a little bit and see what happens. I got the geyser hole plugged now. So if it doesn't shut off, it's just going to return back to the tank. And I guess that's fine too. It's just this way the electric fuel pumps can be running constantly, but I guess that's how it works on my other car. It's always running. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. Just trying to entertain you while we're waiting. Hopefully it's going to shut off. Need a sight level in here so I could tell how full it is. I remember it took a while last time before it came shooting out of there, and it was only half full, so. Well, I don't think it's shutting off because now I got gas leaking at the frickin' float place. So it's probably supposed to shut off before it gets to there. Dang it. All right, I cinched the float bolts down a little tighter. Maybe because we were getting a little leak out of there, it wasn't shutting the float off. I feel like I can feel fuel going back through this return line. So for some reason, I wonder if I plug that. If I have a plug for that, I wonder if I plug that, then it will shut off. I think it's sending the fuel out. I mean, this is how it's designed to work, but it ain't working. See if I can find a plug. All right, not a plug, but I put a cap on there. So that's the return. So it can't return now, so it should, I guess I don't know what it's gonna do if it doesn't shut off. It's got nowhere to go. Not shutting off. So something's happening with that float that's not allowing it to shut off. Bummer. Well, I guess plan Z, I'm gonna take the float back out here. There's a little bit of thread sticking up right here. So I'm gonna see if I can lower the float down. I mean, it's only gonna be a 1/16 of an inch, but maybe that's enough to get it to shut off before it fills up. So this little float guy, well, I don't think I can just lower it. I thought this was an adjustable nut too, so that's just tightening it. The only thing I could do is somehow find some more rubber washers to put in there. To do that, I'd have to take the whole thing apart, which I guess is just take that C-clip off of there. Didn't I say something earlier about things never being as easy as they're supposed to be? Story of my day today, everything's fighting. See if I can drop this right in the fuel tank. Alright, so is there I don't think there's an upsy downsy on that, but I'm going to put it that way. That goes back on. Now all I'm thinking I can do if I move this down a little bit, which I thought I could do just by adjusting the nuts, but it doesn't look like that's the case. Could have swore I checked 11/16 and it was too big. Don't tell me it's metric. I must have used the wrong end of the 11/16 wrench for the test. That's what I did indeed. See, I could loosen that up if I can find another. Well, frick, I gotta disconnect. Gonna have to cut the wires. God dang it. To get them out of there. That goes like so. Oh no, I gotta get, yeah, to get another washer on there, I gotta redo the frickin' wires. I don't have another, what else can I do here? I guess I can think about it. I don't know if this is gonna work, but this is my solution to the current problem of how to extend this. I'm gonna add this fender shim, so it's gonna interfere with some of the bolts. So I just gotta give this a little buzzy with the old grinder action. So let me mark what we need to do here. When you guys are doing stuff like this, nothing works? Is it just me, or I'm sure it's not just me. So I'm gonna clip all these corners off a little bit, and then we'll see if that extra, maybe 1/8 inch makes a difference. Fancy new asymmetrical washer, ready to be put into service now. I'm gonna put it underneath the rubber washer, but that shouldn't matter, right? Because it's still isolating this guy from the metal. Seems like it could probably go either way. But I think it should be fine like that. Looks like I could have got a little more. Should work. Could have done a little more grinding. All right, I want that guy facing that direction. Oh wait, I gotta tighten this down. Woohoo! Could have just dropped the whole washer right in the old tank. And I guess I should probably put the float back on. Man, oh man. Okay, looks like all our holes are cleared. Got a little funky with our rubber washer there, but still a rubber washer. Right, that went like that. Try to put this freaking C-clip back on here without breaking something or losing it. $100 says I lose it. Drop it in the tank. Those are the most likely outcomes. Is there some sort of pliers you use to put these on? All right, I really should probably do this somewhere. Ah! I called it. At least I didn't drop it in the tank, but I don't know where it went. Oh, got lucky. All right, let's at least get halfway smart. Just halfway. I'm not bragging about being smart. Like for instance, I don't know how to put these things on. Something like that, maybe. Bingo. All right, well, guess I would have lost $100. I didn't lose it or drop it in the tank. So now we're gonna hope. Let's see, that's on there. That's tight. Those are lined up. That guy facing that direction. Pin her back down and see what happens. All right, attempt number, 95. Checking the fuel pump. You guys got gas on you. Perfect. I'd say a couple things. The float doesn't work. And the gasket, rubber gasket with aluminum bolts and no copper washers or nothing they got on their little frickin' float fuel sender frickin' spot does not seal. So that's crazy that it did that. There's so much pressure there that it wouldn't just return into this line before turning into freaking Old Faithful. Guess I'll be calling Alky Digger tomorrow and see if they got any suggestions. Anybody else has ran into this or what? But probably clean up and call it a frustrating night for tonight. See you tomorrow. All right, I'm back one more time. I got one more, you know, Hail Mary, you swing at the fence. One more thing, hopefully, to try. So, a lesson for you folks. If something doesn't seem right, if something seems weird or different, it probably, you know, investigate it, check it out. When I was putting the little bolts back in where the float goes, the little 6 bolts that go around this little guy here, I just thought it seemed a little different than it did the time before, but I thought, how could it be different? I must just not remember. I thought I could screw them in by hand a little further, and then I tightened them up, but this time I could barely get them started, and I thought, that seemed different, but I thought, well, I must, whatever, it is what it is. I don't know. Well, I think this little washer guy here, that my homemade float extender, even though I got it to where it wasn't hitting all the holes, it was interfering with this hole, and then obviously we didn't have a tight seal around there. I still think that float should shut off before it squirts it out the freaking hole like that, so it's probably still not going to work, but maybe being it had, you know, it didn't have a good seal, it didn't shut off. So let's see, I gotta tighten that up again. I ground the washer down to where I'm pretty sure it'll fit in the hole now. Guess I didn't really check, so I want to get it tight here before I stick it in the hole. All right, one more chance to lose this guy. No chance. Cheapy rubber gasket that I put a little, yeah, you can kind of see the marks where that washer guy was hitting those, so hopefully it'll still seal up. I've always kind of been told you want a cork gasket with gas and stuff, and then copper washers on your bolts. But I guess in theory, if the dang float would shut off, this would never see it still seems like it rocks a little bit. So if something doesn't seem right, it isn't right. So we still got to figure out, we're still got too much washer in there somewhere, somehow. Yeah, see how it's deforming the gasket? So we're gonna go back to the grinder. All right, now it sits down in there like how it's supposed to. Gotta notice these little things, people. I still don't think it's gonna work, but we're gonna risk shooting you guys in the face with gas one more time and see what happens. While I'm tightening these, you might want to run and grab some goggles or something. All right, place your bets. Gas in the eyeballs or the fuel pump shuts off? I'm gonna say gas in the eyeballs. Or hopefully not gas in the eyeballs. I just don't think the fuel pump's gonna shut off. That's what I think. All right, here we go. It's leaking around there. All right, back to calling her quits and calling these alky digger folks in the morning. I can't give up. I'm still out here fighting with this thing. So what I decided to do now is, like, is the float even? I mean, I know it shuts it off. Where do you guys want to be? Where you can see anything? I know it shuts it off when I flip it upside down, but maybe like it's not floating or something. So here's what I got going on now. Got the old float in a jug of water, cup of water, and it floats. It doesn't seem like it really makes a great seal up there, but if I kind of hold it so that it's, you know, the aluminum's like right at the surface, you can see it, the float does float up. And if I don't have it grounded now, so it can't come on, but if I ground it, I don't want it to come on because I got a big hole up there, but I'm rubbing it on the metal. Like maybe it's just not getting enough ground, but I'm trying to ground it. Now look what happens if I pull the float out of the water and I rub it on the metal. Right away the pump tries to come on. So the float is doing what it's supposed to do. Groundy, groundy, groundy. It's floating in the water so it won't come on. But for some reason when you put it all together in the tank, it don't freaking work. So I did realize too when I took it apart last time, we keep getting the geyser out of there. Well, I had that rubber gasket, the rubber seal, I was thinking it was more of a ground thing, like to make this work or not work, but it's also, maybe it is that, but it's also a gasket for this, to seal that hole there. So I don't think it's gonna seal, started grounding out of me. I don't think it's gonna seal with my fender washer trick. So I'm gonna have to cut these wires and put a regular washer on there so we can get a good, because it's kind of puckers right there where it, where the fender washer isn't. Now what bothers me is it should shut off before it gets to that point. So why is that not happening? But is it just because it's allowing enough pressure to go by there, it's not forcing it all the way up, is all I can figure. So I have to get this low as I can and then a best seal that I can. I might keep messing with it. I might go to bed. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to give up. So I'm gonna switch to washers. So that means, so I can get a better seal, that means I gotta snip these lines. Hopefully my wires are gonna be long enough now. All right, now we can take this guy completely apart. I'm gonna try to get 5 of these guys on here. It's just a smidge thicker than we were before with the little fender washer. As long as we still got enough threads to put it back together. Afraid I'm gonna break these wires off of here messing around. Looks like that was that way. Those guys gotta go through there. That's gotta go through there. Those guys gotta go through there. We're gonna see if we can grab a few threads. Just a few. I wonder if I should get rid of one washer. I feel like it's just barely grabbing. To get it tight, we're gonna deform this little gasket rubber washer dealy bobber. We'll go -1. So now it's still just a hair thicker than the fender washer, I think. At least got a couple threads to grab. Tighten that guy up. All right, so you guys know the deal from here. I'm gonna tighten this up, then I gotta find some more wiring ends. I think I had to struggle to find that ground end. I don't have much for those, but I'll find something. Even if I just gotta, I guess, just temporarily wrap it around a screw or something. We'll get her wired back up and we'll come back for more geyser or no geyser. Here we go. Watch your eyes. So now, one of two things is happening. It's working because it's full and the float is making it, not work, or it's not getting a good enough ground because I messed up a wire or something. So how do I test that? We got to get fuel out of it. It's too late for me to start the car. I guess I could turn it off, crack the bottom. I mean, I've already spilt 35 gallons of fuel. I could crack the bottom and let just a little bit of fuel go out and then try it again. Hold on. All right, I let a little bit of fuel out of there, so it should have been enough to, get the float dropped down enough to make it come on. So if it doesn't come on, something else is happening now. Still nothing. What the crap? Why do I put myself through this? All right, so a couple things I did. If I know I took fuel out of it and I turn it on, it doesn't come on. I did a continuity test with this here magic machine, and it tells me that from my splice here to the ground over there, it's got continuity, so it's grounded. So it should come on if it's grounded. And then the other thing I checked is there's a fuse as part of the relay wiring, and it's good. So that leads me to think that something I did with those washers, well, I mean, that doesn't make sense either because I have ground. I don't know what the heck's going on. I guess I gotta take the float back out of here. Either that or I guess I'll go do some, maybe there's another fuse that blew somewhere. I'll go make sure I have power at the relay from the switch when I turn the switch on. Well, I am freaking stumped. So it seems like my relay is like I blew the relay up somehow. So when you send power to like 86, it's supposed to close the switch so power would go to the fuel pump. There's no power going to that wire. There's power from the switch to the relay, and then that relay is supposed to close the switch inside of it and then send power to like 87 terminal, whatever it is. And there's no power going there. If I jump it from the ignition 12 volt to that wire, the fuel pump comes on, but even when it's not grounded. So that seems weird to me, like something in the inside is grounding it like it's not supposed to, and then I let it run for a second and we're still leaking. So I don't know what time it's getting to be, but it's freaking late and I gotta work in the morning and I am over it. Next day, I'm back out fighting with the surge tank. Let me tell you, I didn't hardly sleep last night because I couldn't get, I was racking my brain trying to figure out why is this not working. I was thinking like, does the tank need to be like isolated? So the tank, is it getting ground through the tank? Like, does the tank need to be like rubber mounted? And I also didn't really understand how this little switch works. So I Googled that, and it's pretty tricky actually. It's called a reed switch. So inside the stem, there's a little reed switch with a magnet in it. And so I was thinking that the float had to touch the top, and I didn't make the connection, but there's a magnet in there, and when the float comes up, and in this case it has to get pretty much, I don't have an extra hand, I'd show you with the continuity test. Pretty much when it gets almost exactly to the top, breaks continuity. So it opens the switch inside this stem. Inside the stem here, there's a little switch. When the float goes up, it's a metal float. When it gets up there, the magnet opens the switch. And so that opens these two things, basically disconnecting the ground. So it shuts the ground off to the relay, which is grounding the pump, so it shuts the pump off. So float goes up, pump shuts off. Now, I can turn all the power on and hook it all up, and I can sit here and I can pull the float up and it'll shut the pump off just like it's supposed to. Right now I have the power off, I think, but I can touch this next to there and I can pull the float up and it'll shut the pump off like it's supposed to. I can put this in a cup of water and it'll float up and it'll shut the pump off like it's supposed to. If I put it in here where it belongs, and then I have the power on and I just slowly tap on the ground, the pump, pump. So what I'm trying to do is slowly sneak up on, where the float is supposed to shut it off. It doesn't ever shut it off. It just blows right through it. Fuel starts geysering out of these little holes. I got fuel all over me and all over the freaking fender again. It's amazing how much pressure. Just one little and it'll. So anyways, frustrated to say the least. So I've been chasing wiring, and is there a ground issue, and what the heck is going on? I tried a different relay, and I think, burn up the relay yesterday because all of a sudden there's no power to the one relay, to the one pin that's supposed to have it. But I just discovered something here a second ago. Let me see if we can, I don't know where to show you guys because I got to be kind of low the way the wiring is. You guys try to stay right there. Here we have your classic bucket of water. This is what I was like trying to make sure this stuff would work or whatever, right? So I could put the float in here. And can you guys see that? I don't know if you can see it or tell or not, but what's happening is what's supposed to happen. I put the float in there, the float goes up to the top, so if you can't see it, this is what's happening. I put this in the water, the float goes up like it's supposed to. Opens the switch. I'm not running water in this tank, right? So finally I decided, well, let me try it with a cup of gasoline just to be sure. Why, if it works with water, why wouldn't it work with gasoline? Cup of gasoline, nothing happens. That float does not float in gasoline. That's why I only got so much wire, but it stays right where it is. So that's my freaking problem. Like it won't friggin' work. So I don't know, a lot of these cars run methanol and that sort of stuff. I don't know if they haven't tested this with gasoline or if I just have a bad one, or hopefully we're gonna be able to get one that's gonna work, because this one, no floaty with gasoline. So I called Elky Digger. I talked to him before I discovered the no floating in the gasoline. He said he would send me a new float just because I told him how it works outside of the tank and it operates how it should, but it just won't shut it off when it's in the tank. So he said he'd send me another one, but if it's going to be the same thing, is it still not going to float in gasoline? And my whole system, the whole thing I'm doing here is not going to work because there's got to be something that'll work, right? But this one don't work.